You're listening to the No BS Bishop podcast. We're alive to love, and all other values are potential BS. Now here's your host, Bishop Randy Dean.
Welcome, and hey there, everybody. Welcome back to this podcast. I'm Bishop Randy Dean. It's a pleasure to be with you here every week, at least once a week. I'm trying to increase that for the podcast, but especially here now for the radio broadcast. I'm delighted to be here. I am here and have been now for 7 years. It's been a glorious adventure. So to that end, I want to review with you, somewhat review, but also add some new insight from my heart about why this journey of love. Why this journey of love for me. Now, I've been hoping others have joined me in the process and the journey, but for me, why this journey of love? We're going to get to that. Why the journey of love? Well, I'm going to answer that in the next half hour. But in order to get there, let me do a couple of things that I do on the regular to keep me between the white lines of the metaphorical highway, and to keep you informed of how I treat this, how I carry this half an hour broadcast. So I start with the Lord's Prayer, and then I add Love's Creed to start us off with. And then later I've got some closing thoughts that I think will give a whole new sense of why this journey of love for Randy Dean. All right? So the Lord's Prayer, most prayed prayer in human history. Most of you know it, some of you don't, and you're all equal in my eyes because I appreciate anybody who'll just give me a moment here and meditate these words. If you know it, come along and join me. Pray with your eyes open. That'll be a freaky new experience. I do that often. All right? The most prayed wisdom of God through the voice of Jesus when he taught us this paragraph to pray this way. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I'm convinced there's more there than what meets the eye. There's more there than we can spiritually mine than on any given repetition of it. And especially if we take it deep into our thinking, carry it through the day. All right. Love's Creed, as many of you know already, but if you've not been here before, Love's Creed is something I wrote many years ago for a New Year's resolution, and I carry it with me now on a permanent basis. If you'd like a copy, let me know. Randy Dean Ministries, all lowercase letters and all one word, @gmail.com, and I'll get that to you. So here it is, Love's Creed, and this is why I've been here 7 years. Here we go. I'm alive to love. I'm not on this earth for hate. I'm alive for love. I'm not breathing, eating, and sleeping to regain energy for causing pain. I am alive with plans, dreams, and designs, locked into anything and everything that is love. I am unavailable for anything less than love. Okay, there it is in total. Now let me give it to you in short bursts and you repeat after me. It's important for our ears to hear what we say out loud and how we meditate certain things. All right? Repeat after me. I'm alive to love. I am not on this earth for hate. I'm alive for love. I'm not breathing, eating, and sleeping to regain energy for causing pain. I am alive with plans, dreams, and designs, locked into anything and everything that is love. I am unavailable for anything less than love. Well, I live by these words. I don't live perfectly by these words because life is not about perfection. It's about practice and process. As long as I'm practicing, as long as I'm processing, I'm growing. And perfection, well, I can reach all I want, but I am convinced that the process is better for me than trying to hold myself to some out of my reach perfection. Alive to love. So that's my subject for today, and why this broadcast is here. I am convinced of my own need to follow this calling. I'm 72 and I'm heading toward the end of my life, and I want my life to close with this chapter I'm calling love. I've got a couple of books in my computer that are begging for more attention from me. I try to tap away on them every week, every day actually. But much more importantly than that, there is just something so profound. That's why this broadcast is called The No BS Bishop. I'm alive to love. All lesser values devolve into bait and switch or BS in any other way you want to call BS. Love does not BS. Real love is just that simple, but it's also so deep that it's going to take all of our life to truly mine the benefits. You know what I'm saying by that? Mine as in a coal mine or a diamond mine. You put your helmet on, your construction helmet. You got a light up there on the top of that helmet. You turn that light on and you go down deep into a mine of whatever purposes that you're searching for, a mineral. And you get down in there so deep that sometimes you forget how to get back out, but hopefully you've got some kind of something to pull you back up to the surface. That's what I mean about mining this true journey of love. So I want to review a little bit of why I'm on this journey. Why this journey of love for Randy Dean? I've said before, and here's the quick snapshot, that I grew up in a home of dysfunction with a mental health illness with my brother. It was just my mom, dad, and my brother and I. And my brother was living a life of serious addiction, and it ultimately destroyed him in his early 70s, about 8 years ago. And that's a whole other story. But in the process of that, my mom and dad were so clobbered by my brother's dysfunction and pain that I, as the younger sibling, I just stayed out of the way. I learned how to hide. Psychology would call me the lost child. But I don't call myself that per se. I know that I fit the MO for that, but I call myself just this kid trying to survive. And I did it by a variety of means. But what I didn't know, and I didn't discover till I was 18, that I wasn't hearing from my father. My mom was good about it, but mom was loaded up with codependency and her own mental health challenges. But mom always told me, "I love you, Randy," or Randall Eric, or whatever was happening around me. Randall Eric was when I was in trouble. But she would tell me, "I love you," and I came to expect it. But what I didn't know was I hadn't heard it from my dad until I was 18. And when I turned about 18, almost 19, he fell very ill. He was in his late 60s, and actually the hospital and the doctors at that time, this is the early 70s, they had no hope for him to pull out of a coma he was in. He did pull out. And then once he was out of the coma and back to his somewhat aware self, he called me into his hospital room to be alone with him. I didn't know what was coming, and you could have knocked me over with a feather when he said, "Randy, I know that in all your life I've never said to you, 'I love you,' and I'm proud of you." In that very moment, I could not have been more thunderstruck if I had been thunderstruck by lightning. I just came to a painful but joyful at the same time awareness that, oh my God, he's right. I've never heard that from him. And this is a moment And I had other moments leading up to it, but the most profound moment that took me into this journey of love was that moment with my dad in that hospital room. Like I said, early 70s. Now, here I am in my early 70s, and I've come to believe that there's an absolute necessity for people of faith and for the church and for our culture wide to get involved with this journey of love that's more significant than we've ever been involved with. One of my favorite authors and writers is a lady by the name of Brené Brown. Many of you out there have heard that name. She's an author, prolific author, speaker. She just has this amazing capacity. She began as a researcher and ended up being a sociologist and a researcher of human nature. One of the books she wrote is called The Atlas of the Heart. Now, the Atlas of the Heart is about her researching how life is really connected and intertwined with our emotions. But she said something significant, at least in my mind, significant in the manner of like historically significant, in Atlas of the Heart when she said, quote, "I don't want to betray my mind and heart. I want to live by a love ethic. We need more love between us, but also among us." I'm not talking about rainbow or unicorn love or especially commercialized love. Oh, I'm with her on that. We need more real love. Real love. Gritty, dangerous, wild-eyed, justice-seeking love. Whew. I don't want to betray my mind or heart. I want to live by a love ethic. We need more love between us, but also among us. Not rainbow and unicorn love or commercialized love. We need more real love. Gritty, dangerous, wild-eyed, justice-seeking love. Now that's Brené Brown. Now let me put Randy Dean into that mix and tell you why I'm doing this in this season of my life. Why this journey of love for Randy Dean? Well, first of all, I cannot dodge, nor do I want to dodge. Jesus told his disciples, "And by this all humanity will know you're my disciples indeed, if you love one another." And he added somewhere in that discussion, "And no greater love has anyone than this, but what they laid down their life for their brothers and sisters." Listen to me, folks. This is not an early morning devotion that Jesus is passing by and say, "Well, you know, you ought to lay down your life, and I guess that might come to my life." No, Jesus knew the end of his life would be the literal, visceral, violent, tearing him limb from limb almost, laying down of his life. And he defined that as there's no greater love than that. Well, now here we are in the 21st century. The Church of Jesus Christ here in the United States of America is suffering badly from declining numbers. And I know people talk back and forth in different iterations of this revival or this spiritual renewal or those kind of things. But I'm too old to be distracted by little moments of performance. I'm too old to be distracted by big meetings where people are singing and dancing. I'm too old to be impressed by sales of books or by even Bibles. I've got many Bibles myself. I love the Bible. You've heard that in the last few weeks, but I'm too old. Hear me. I'm too old to be impressed with little blurbs of spiritual renewal. The real renewal we are in search of is a magnificence of love, a laying down our life kind of love, which is exactly what Jesus described love to be. Now, I've known that. Go back to my story about my dad. And I was only in my late teens, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. I needed it at that moment, more than I could have even imagined in that moment. And so to that end, here I am now. And between those late teens and now my early 70s, I've been on a search. I remember multiple times going to bookstores, Christian bookstores, libraries, searching online for books that were, weighty. That's, I guess, the word I know to say right now. Weighty enough for my attention. And I bought a few, and they were okay, and they were inspiring. They had stories here and there that lifted my soul and spirit. But I waited for some full description, especially from somebody in the Jesus follower venue of describing what this love was Jesus said would cause the whole world to see that we're his disciples. I just didn't find it. But I was finding, now brace yourself, I was finding books on love from the outside. And I do mean like researchers, like I mentioned Brené Brown. Now, I'm not going to start rolling names out here because that's distracting. I don't want to get away from my purpose here. Why this journey of love for Randy Dean? And I've found 2 or 3 books that rock me, that have hit me where I needed to be hit. And to that end, I came to just struggle with these writers of love were saying things that I was looking for from people of faith. And I wasn't hearing it. I wasn't finding it. And maybe you know somebody that can change my mind about it. I'm wide open to that. But what I'm saying to you is I've had a half a century worth of search. And in that search, I've found that it was the outsiders to faith speaking about, researching, discussing, talking about the depths and the heights and the width of love that really garnered my attention. And it reminded me of Paul in the book of Ephesians when he said the height, the depth, the width, the enormous outside of all capacity definition of love, that we be rooted, grounded in love. I mean, here's Paul, this rough and tumble. Oh my gosh, this guy puts current theologians in the shadows for toughness and for resiliency over his life that ended up in death and imprisonment. Paul fighting for the church to come to a revelation of love. So in that same genre, I've come to this point in my life, and then that's why I read Brené Brown's quote. Let me go back to it one more time. I don't want to betray my mind or heart. I want to live by a love ethic. We need more love between us, but also among us, not rainbow and unicorn love or commercialized love. We need more real love, gritty, dangerous, wild-eyed, justice-seeking love. That's Brené Brown from her book, Atlas of the Heart. Now let me put it in the context of church buildings and pews and budgets and boards. all of the above I've participated in for most of my adult life. Put it in the context of doctrinal statements and websites that tell the world this is who we are as a church. Let's put it in the context of deep and profound discussions among theologians and folks, the average folk in the church, in the pews, the pew dwellers, as I like to call them. Love, gritty, not commercialized, not put into cliched ideas, but put into practice that really puts us at risk. Like Jesus said, no greater love has anyone than this, but they lay down their life for their family, for their brothers and sisters. A dangerous, wild-eyed, justice-seeking love, Brené Brown said. Dangerous. Dangerous to what? Well, dangerous to our doctrinal statements, dangerous to our website statements, dangerous to our bumper stickers, dangerous to our honk if you love Jesus nonsense. I paused. I didn't want to be mean about it, but all of those kind of ideas, as I said earlier, left me so hungry for more going through my life. And so when I know it took my dad 18 years to figure out that he hadn't told me he loved me with real intention, eye contact. I'm wondering if most of us folks in churchianity, most of us folks in the religious world of Christianity are just like that 18-year-old boy who haven't heard the thunderous, life-changing, apple cart flipping words that bring us not just to some mental ascent, but to an ascendancy, a mount of transfiguration moment that we grab with both hands, a life-altering, life-risking love that specifically identifies with Jesus Christ. We rattle off John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever would believe in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. We rattle it off like I just did, as if there's nothing else to think about there. But I'm on a journey that says there's a whole lot to think about there. That when we understand that God so loved the world, that let's start with God. Well, that look at the universe that God exploded into creation. Take into mind that this divine entrepreneur said, let there be light, and light has been exploding out there for millions of years. And this God isn't just a scientist who knows how the laws of physics and the laws of astrophysics, but this is a God that 1 John says God is love. So when love spoke, a universe exploded into being. So when God loved the whole world, and not just our current world, I think sometimes when we Christians say, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, we're thinking only of the folks alive right now. And I got news for you. It's every human who's ever been born, all through the ages. For God so loved, cared for, that God slipped out of eternity's package and became a human package. God became flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld him, the Gospel of John says. We beheld him, we held him. And to that end, we discovered God in Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ, who is God in the flesh, said, love will be the result of what I came here to be, to do, and to teach. So, I've come to the end of the broadcast here, and you're going to have to bear with me. I've got to bring this discussion, monologue, teaching to a close. But I want to give it the full attention to the words that I say here every time I visit with you. The biggest mistake we make is thinking we have time. That's what my dad was wrestling with. Be present. Be kind. Love more. Love now. Mother Teresa said, go into the world today and love the people you meet, like the ones in John 3:16. For God so loved the whole world. Love the people you meet, the whole world. Let your presence light new light in the hearts of others. So if we love the whole world, we're willing to be as Jesus and lay down our lives, lay down our websites, our doctrinal statements, lay down our budgets and boards and sacrifice it all and listen to all the Judas conversations in the hallways that say, you can't do that, you can't do that, you're going to ruin everything. No, we might just resurrect everything if we give everything. I'm not Mother Teresa, but I'm Bishop Randy Dean, the No BS Bishop, and I'm here to tell you it's time for us to do something significantly, magnificently beautiful. Ugly is owning the airtime on televisions and social media. Ugly is getting done to death, and multitudes of us in the faith community are memorizing ugly and calling it somehow or another the expression of God, and I adamantly, vociferously disagree. Beauty will save the world. It's time to rise and shine and do something beautiful, because ugly is getting done to death. All right, well, let me invite you to learn how to breathe. Breathe deep. Breathe slow. Full intentionality. Listen to your airwaves filling your lungs. Draw a deep breath on the count of 3, and then hold it as long as you're physically able, all right? 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Hold it right there. And exhale. You see, that exercise is a part of meditation. The awareness of our heartbeat, the awareness of our lungs, whatever capacity you have in your lungs to be able to take as much of that free life that love has given you through oxygenating your body, slowing your body down enough to meditate, to contemplate love. Now I want to invite you to, I think, the logical conclusion of everything I just said. Why this journey of love for Randy Dean? Well, because the 3 most holy, magical, charmed, and possibly weird words in the human language are these 3 words, especially as my dad spoke them to me at his hospital room, as I'm speaking them to you now, and as somebody you might encounter will hear them. Say these words with eye contact. I love you. That's shattering. And it might make some people mad. I as a teenage boy, it bordered on angry, because I realized in an instant, he's right. He's never said, I love you. Well, let's take it to whoever we say it to now. And maybe they've never heard those magic words. Maybe the holy beauty of I love you has not yet intersected with their emotional, psychological bearings. And like Brené Brown said, they've never come to know something that wasn't just rainbow, unicorn, or commercialized love. A love that was gritty, dangerous, wild-eyed, and justice-seeking. You know, you might encounter that person and they might wonder, who are you? And you'll leave them with something that might take the rest of their life, as it has for me, to contemplate, to take genuinely into heart. Because love is a revolution. Now, I don't mean culturally or nationally. I mean, it's a revolution personally. And when we have the courage to enter a revolution for our personal life through love, I'm telling you, it radically turns everything in the right direction. It's not easy. It's not simplistic. It's not cliched. It's not cotton candy. It's heavy lifting. It's a pilgrimage. It's heavy lifting, as I said, and it'll cause some strains in your ligaments, mentally, emotionally. Come join me, would you please? And understand this. I'll be back with you again in another week, and we're going to talk more. Why this journey into love? Well, There's a lot more why than what we most of the time have. I'm Bishop Randy Dean, and I wish you all the best. Happy trails, y'all. And I love you.
Thanks for listening to the No BS Bishop podcast. If you like the show, leave a comment on it. Or, even better, share it with your friends. And we'll see you on the next one.